Hey, welcome to another episode of the Fit Growth Machine podcast. I'm Roisentul, your host, and today we have a pretty interesting interview with Greg Meade. He's a co-founder of Crossnet, the fastest growing backyard game in the world and good sport creator-led brand. Before talking to him, let me tell you that this episode is brought to you by BSR Digital. I mean, we get it. By now, we all know that customer acquisition costs are going up. There's lack of tracking. Attribution is probably driving you nuts, and audience sizes are getting smaller after the iOS 14 update. If that wasn't enough, there are other factors such as the recession and supply chain issues, making it harder than ever to grow your e-commerce brand. That's why we need to understand that it's really important to level up the marketing and design a solid strategy, as what used to work doesn't anymore. And we are going to talk about this with Greg. So at BSR Digital, we have been helping countless e-commerce brands that wanted to scale their business to the next level through paid ads and email marketing for over a decade. So if you want to learn more about us, you can visit us at bsrdigital.com, or you can email us at hello@bsrdigital.com. Now, as promised, I have Greg here with me. Hey, man, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, my pleasure. So I've been following you and Chris for a while, and you know you have a pretty interesting story. So please go ahead and tell the audience more about it.
Yeah, so I invented with my founders, Mike and Chris, Crossnet, the four-way volleyball game that you guys have probably seen. Since then, we've developed it into four-way soccer. We have four-way pickleball coming out. We have four-way in the pool. It's gone viral. It's been a long journey. It's been about five years now, a little over 5 years. We have just dominated the backyard space, and we're the fastest growing backyard game now, which is amazing to say because I never thought we'd be here this soon.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've been following you guys for a while, and it's impressive every accomplishment you communicate and every struggle as well that you communicate on social. So again, I really appreciate that. I said that to you off the record, and I wanted to say that on the record as well. So how do you come up with the idea? Because we have interviewed many people that created a whole new idea. And I know it's a process. It's not an overnight thing, right? To come up with an idea and to validate it, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. So one day when we were first starting, Mike hit me up, my founder, and he's like, "Hey, Greg, let's make something." We had a vision to actually create a product together. We didn't just like come up with it one day randomly when we're out at the beach or in the shower brainstorming or anything crazy like that. We actually had a set plan to come up with a product that night. We wrote down a list of hundreds of games, hundreds of products, hundreds of electronics we could have made. And I think we were talking about like beach games, and like we grew up playing Can Jam, if you're familiar. It's the Frisbee black and yellow game. So we were really inspired by that, like that color theme, that environment where you make friends playing that game. And Mike said, name dropped Foursquare volleyball. And then it was instantly, yes, like we're doing that. We went all in. Next day we went to the store. Our friends picked up like badminton nets. We rigged them against a tree, my mom's shed, all done in my mom's backyard. It was crazy though. But that process is very, very tedious, very long. We found sourcing overseas. You got to get samples. You got to test them. Usually it's terrible. So you keep doing that for months on months. And it finally took about 12, 13 months for us to get a final prototype that we were even comfortable with to start selling. Then we sold like 300 units, and then it just kept going and going.
So it's been over a year until you came up with the final version of the product, right?
Yeah,
Wow,
we were just
you gotta be
waiting.
patient, right?
Patience is very important in this game for sure.
Yeah, and having the right partners, right? I mean, I don't know if either of you guys is technical or knows how to design or how to build a product.
Yeah, for sure. Like having the right founders, partners is step one. Especially if you're solo dolo, it's very difficult. For like our instance, Mike, he's an engineer by trade, so he went to school up in Northeastern. He knows how to do all that CAD, all the blueprints, the tech packs. So it was very not easy. It was very difficult, but it was pretty a seamless process with Mike handling that. And then on the other side, we have Chris, who's great at sales. And as you can see from his his tweets and LinkedIn's, that we've really drove retail with his presence as well.
Okay, tell me about a little bit more about the validation phase. I mean, you design the product, you got the final, let's say, version after 12, 13 months. Now, then what? What happened?
Yeah, Then we actually moved to South Beach, Miami from Connecticut. We grew up on the farm, a small farm town. And then we packed our bags, packed everything, moved out of our house, brought my mom with me and another buddy or two. And then we moved right down to South Beach, Miami. We set the game up on the beach every day, like literally every day for months, taking content, video shoots, or just, messing around and having fun. And then people would come up and ask to play, take videos. Where can I get this? Blah, blah, blah. And when we first realized that this was like, okay, like this is how we're going to be able to acquire customers in the beginning without spending marketing dollars, was when we brought it to the beach. We'd play with like a family from like Michigan, and we'd play for an hour with them, a bunch of kids. And then a week later, we get a sale from Michigan, and we'd be like, oh, okay. So all we need to do is just get this thing out here, and it'll be a snowball effect. And now our customers do that for us.
That's great. As you speak, I want to add comments to the audience. Everyone listening or watching the video, I think it's important to understand or to read between lines, because what Greg is saying is super interesting and relevant for all of you guys. They didn't only, I don't know if you did this or not, but they didn't only, they did it, run ads to a landing page to see if they got any luck with selling the product. They actually moved to the beach. they installed like they set up the product they were selling at the time on the beach, and they started getting validation and trying to assess whether people liked it or not, right?
Yeah, that's correct. It was pretty much like our door-to-door salesman. Like that's what we were technically, but we just door-to-beach salesman. It was fun. We stopped doing that. Got very hectic, but like I said, our customers do that for us now.
Yeah, I'm saying that because we are living I don't know if a crazy, but a different era of e-commerce for sure. You know this better than I do, right? But basically, within all the conversations I have here on the podcast and also offline and with my clients as well in the agency, I know that things have changed, right? And many people take a different approach when launching something. They say, oh, I don't know, X, amount to spend on the ads. I got these creatives. I got this landing page. And after a week, they say it's not working. That's not how you launch a successful brand, right?
Yeah, that just puts you in a tough situation. We actually started without running ads and doing like physical sales, so we would get cash in the bank account so we can run ads on different platforms. We started on Twitter, we started on Instagram memes, and then we went to like the real paid media and like the back end of Meta.
Right. I don't know if it was Alibaba's founder, Jack Ma, who said that in order to do in order to scale a business, you need to start doing non-scalable things, right? So doing the non-scalable things is fine in the beginning to learn and to be in touch with your audience. And then, of course, the scalable efforts will come later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I know you started that way, and it's really great. You have like the let's say the original Crossnet product, right? The volleyball, but then you added many sports. Was it planned originally, or you saw a demand as you started rolling out the volleyball product?
Yeah, I mean, every time you'd set up a Crossnet, I kid you not, there would be a dozen kids joining us in line. Like some days we'd like to really like validate the product. We wanted to just go play our game because it was so fun. So we'd take 4 or 5 of our friends, we'd go play, and then we would have to stop playing to let other people play. And we're like, okay, we have to stop playing because we want them to enjoy it so we can make money. And at the end of the day, we were actually just trying to go play and have fun. So that's always been like an awesome feeling. And that's how we really knew we need to like turn the burners on and like, let's gas this up with ads and get the show on the road.
Yeah. And what I love about you guys, as I was saying, is that you didn't stop with the innovation with the first product. You actually continue to innovate as you saw opportunities in the market. I know pickleball is really hot lately, and you are there. Soccer, you're there. Even for the swimming pool, right now, summer is coming. You're there. So
I could touch on that. Yeah. So like with our product, we were always like a little hesitant on how we can scale the brand, right? Like how many Foursquare products we can come out with. And we eventually came out with all the different sport lines. We have a few more ideas in our head that we want to launch, not all at one time. We rolled them out slowly. The pool model is amazing. We can't stay in stock in the summer. We're constantly making changes on each product. But it is difficult. It's challenging. And that's why we came up with our other company, Good Sport, we'll touch on in a little, about all their other ideas and how we have to launch it separately in a different product, on a different company that, doesn't fit our Foursquare SKUs.
Awesome. As we have been discussing here on the show many times, in order to be successful as a brand, it's highly likely that unless you get lucky, you need to have a great product, a great offer, a great website, right? But nothing will happen unless you have traffic, right? So what do you guys do to acquire customers and to retain them?
Yeah, a bunch of things, but we'll start with the basic meta ads, right? We'll drive traffic from Facebook, Instagram, to our website, have a good conversion rate. But I think go back, you have to have a good product, right? Like you cannot go there selling crap and have a bad website. It's not going to work. So have a good product, drive them with meta ads, emails, build out your email SMS list. That's very big for us. And we're currently trying to like grow a community where like people can, sell our product for us. We give them $20 cash back, use Fondue. There's a bunch of apps you can use to help such like that. But yeah, we started off with like Twitter pages, Instagram pages. There's so many different avenues you can take. We do trade shows. Not many D2C companies even focus on trade shows. They can be really, really good for you. They can also be a money burn. You got to find the right trade shows, and those have been great for us. And those have led us to like some retailers as well.
I know it's for a different reason, or I guess it's for a different reason, but you also host dinners, right?
Yeah, it's my brother, Chris and his buddy, Aaron, they host dinners. They do a great job at that. I come and help and pass out name tags and dilly-dally and make some good connections, but they do a great job at that. And it works for both their brands. It grows their personals, and it helps us get connections for the businesses.
Okay. And in terms, I don't know if you want to get into the details, but regarding meta ads or any other ads, what do you guys do? What's working for you right now?
Yeah, it's tough. A lot of it doesn't work. Most of it doesn't work. But we have to kind of like dice it up, make a lot of good content, find the assets that work, right? Is it high quality? Is it founders like me and Chris talking in front of a Crossnet? Is it just basic UGC content, which seems to always perform the best at the end of the day? So we just source, influencers and get content and just A/B test, scale what does well and remove what doesn't. No one can determine how meta is going to work right now. It's in a bad place, bad state, and it's challenging. But getting content, getting high quality content, getting low quality content, and just finding out what works best.
Yeah, I see you guys. I mean, on social, you post every time you're doing a recording session outdoor, like playing, you guys or hiring someone else. But as you said, it's really important to have both, I think, low, but mainly high quality content that is clear to the audience. I mean, but that brings or takes us to some other thing that companies need to know, which is their audience, right? They need to know what their audience is, their avatars. And how did you find out? I mean, by looking at them on the beach while they were playing. Yeah. How did you know who they were?
So I think we actually messed up on, we figured it out after like a year and a half or so, or 2 years. We were really we started off trying to target like the beach volleyball players, the 22-year-old guys with their shirts off that love to play like other like can jam and spike ball, right? At the end of the day, we realized our main customer is like a 60-year-old mom who's purchasing it for their little kid, right? So their kid will see it on the beach, their kid will see it on TikTok, right? And so what we had to do for our ads, we had to stop, spending thousands of dollars on volleyball athletes to make this high quality pro content that looks cool to me. But the mom can't relate to that. The mom's gonna be like, oh, my son can't do that at all, right? My son can't spike it on someone's face. So let me make a video that has 2 kids, a dad, and a mom playing with the dog running around the net. And that is the perfect ad for us. So it took us a little while to actually understand and figure that out and scale it, which now we know and we've learned, and it does well for us.
I mean, I think it's totally normal that something such as understanding who your avatars are takes time. I mean, if it doesn't take time, probably is that it was it was luck, or you're not testing enough to find out who they really are, right? So how
Yeah.
did you find it out? I mean, I'm curious about like I don't know if the process, but do you have any tools to survey people or to check on the stats, or do you just went one order at a time, checking the age range or the whatever, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we went to the Shopify, right?
Yeah.
Saw the dashboard, saw the names, saw the age demographics. But you could take other steps, which we have done in the recent past with apps like No Commerce. I'm plugging a lot of apps in here that we use. But No Commerce is great. It's a post-purchase survey. You can just really gauge where they came from, how old they are. You can ask whatever questions you want to field out, the audience.
Yeah, I'm actually interviewing Jeremy this week. I think
Oh,
tomorrow.
dope. Yeah, good dude. Yeah, great,
Yeah,
great, great company.
yeah, they're great. Yeah, it's really important to collect first party data, or in this case, your party data, to understand who your customers are. Otherwise, as you said, you can have a great offer, you can have a great product landing page ads, but if you're targeting the wrong people with the wrong message, I mean, it's totally normal that you get it that you don't get it right in the first place. But then you need to start testing and see what's not working and what's working, to see who is
Exactly.
in what you're
If
doing.
you're making content for the wrong audience, you're just burning cash. So you want to
Yeah,
really hyper focus on who you're targeting and really hone in on that.
yeah. Some other thing, I mean, there are some other factors to that will make a company succeed or fail, let's say, besides having like dialed in the acquisition or retention, such as the right or wrong headcount, depending on the stage they are at, the efforts they do to get customers off like the ad platforms, and many other things, right? So what do you see, or probably the top mistakes that e-commerce brands make, are, or some of the mistakes you made in the beginning? I don't know.
Yeah, I think a big mistake is kind of what you touched on, is when a business starts seeing success, and we ran into this as well. When a business starts seeing success, has cash in the bank, don't just go burn that, right? Don't be like, oh, we have whatever $1 million in the bank, let me go hire 8 people. That was a mistake for us, and a lot of D2C owners, whatever business owners do that, whether it's online or in store. Like you'll hire 5 people, you hire 2 people on the marketing team, another ops person, another salesperson, another finance person, right? And it just turns into the leaders, the core founders, your C-suite starting to manage more and do less. If you're not a major company, don't do that. I would not recommend doing that unless you have proper management and you know what you need to scale.
What key roles, if you don't mind me asking, do you think a D2C company should have in-house? Let's say doing 0 to 5 million or something like that. And what key roles do you think that it's okay to outsource?
Good question. I think if out regard of the founders, I think it's very good to have a strong, marketing person in your team, whether that's head of marketing, CMO, D2C, e-commerce operator. We have a great CFO, which has been a huge resource to us. So the founders don't have to deal with all that back end noise, and we can just focus on growing the brand. And then for us personally, since we're kind of in the retail game, we have a strong operations team, which we have to deal with, like shipping products to Dick's Sporting Goods and Walmart. And that's a lot of D2C brands don't have to deal with that, luckily. And they just go straight e-commerce. So outsource as much as you can, hire virtual assistants. We have virtual assistants that do our customer service. We pay them, a very cheap rate for us in the States, but it's very good for them. And they're great. We have a great team like that. And outsource for lead generation. Try to keep your team lean, for sure. 3PL was a big mistake for us, not going into a 3PL. We tried to have our own warehouse. We had 3 employees in the warehouse. Forklifts were breaking. It was a nightmare. So focus on what you have to do, and that's selling your product and marketing your product.
Yeah. In some recent interviews, some companies are even starting to look into adding GPT. I mean,
Yeah.
not the chat, but the technology behind it, to their processes in their customer success department or customer support, right? So it's super interesting. The immediate future is super interesting for brands and what they can
Yeah.
do with employees, and also with the help of AI to improve things. So that's great.
Yeah, we have some AI stuff doing our customer service for our new company right now, and we're testing it out. You obviously don't want it to sound like they're talking to robots, right? And have it personal. So we're still gauging that, but it's done great so far.
Yeah. And you mentioned something I mean, everything you said was important, but something that I wanted to emphasize for everyone listening, which is knowing your numbers, right? You have your CFO, but correct me if I'm wrong, but they should be connected with the marketing department. I mean, with every department, because you need to know how much you can pay for your customer acquisition or for the retention, what you need to do to actually be successful or be profitable with your brand, because many founders don't know their numbers, and that's probably put them in a not in a very good spot right now.
Yeah, that's true. Like, so we have our CFO meet with our marketing team, and they go over the numbers. They go over the MER targets, the ROAS targets, all that. And it's great for me, so I don't have to lead that and try to figure that out, because hiring smarter people is my job. So it's great to have those two, connect and make sure we're hitting our right targets.
Yeah. So besides Crossnet, you I don't know if this year or last year, I think you created a new company called Good Sports. What's that about?
Yeah, so we launched Good Sport mid-October of 2022. That's with celebrity YouTuber Danny Duncan, a great buddy of ours now. We met up. We were trying to do some Crossnet stuff. The pricing didn't work out. He wanted a lot of money, and he deserves it, but we didn't have the money to be gambling on an influencer like that. So we met up, and then eventually we're like, hey, let's just do a new company together. We have all these ideas, and Danny's into sports. He loves, playing all different kinds of sports. He's a great athlete, so he's great at promoting it. So we're excited for retail this year, where he can do in-store retail pushes and have all his fans show up and sell out the products. But pretty much Good Sport is all the ideas we've had for Crossnet that couldn't fit under our Foursquare brand. So we have a bunch of new games coming out that are awesome to play.
Why do you think it's so? I mean, besides the obvious, right? Why do you think it's so important for brands right now to collaborate, even, I mean, with other brands or even with creators such as Danny?
Yeah, I think it's important just to keep the marketing efficiency down, right? Like, you don't want to be spending gambling money and lighting it on fire with meta ads or whatever ads you're trying to run, TikTok ads. If you can partner with an influencer, they don't have to be a mega superstar. At least, have them be mediocre or have a bunch of them, and then they can help with that CAC cost. And you schedule them on posts, they promote the brand. There's a bunch of different angles you can play in, and I would also suggest like companies collabing with other companies and picking off each other's email list, things like that. That's what we try to do as well. It works.
What's next for Crossnet? I mean, summer's coming, many good opportunities. What's next?
What's next? We're excited to launch officially the pickleball set. I think it's the best game we've created. I could be biased because I've been playing the volleyball game for 5 years, and maybe I'm getting sick of it, but I love pickleball. I love tennis. So the game's been great. We played it a few times, like really went into it and got competitive, and it's been a blast. So I'm really excited for that to drop and like kind of attach it to this pickleball hype that's going on. So that's what's next for Crossnet that I'm excited about.
Awesome. I mean, Greg, thanks for all the value you added to the audience in this interview. I really appreciate it. And to wrap up, I always ask everyone that comes to the show to share, if you read, of course, any interesting book that you want to recommend the audience. I started as a selfish section because I wanted to, stop reading the same thing over and over. But then I saw last year that people were asking, hey, what can I read about this or this thing? So do you have any to recommend?
Books? No, I don't. I'm not a big book reader. I know a lot of people are, a lot of founders are, and I always get chirped to read some books, but I'm not a book reader. But I would advise, if you're looking to grow like your brain, grow your business, grow your network, is definitely getting on LinkedIn, getting on Twitter, and growing your platforms that way, and just connecting with people, and just reaching out and maybe you guys can swap knowledge, and it actually helps, and it works in our favor.
Do you follow anyone in this space? I mean, it could be e-commerce, business, mindset, or anyone that has helped you along the way. Do you follow anyone that you can, mention here for people to follow as well?
Yeah, for sure. I think a good one for brands that are growing is like someone like Chase Diamond. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. He's big in the email space. He always gets good tips, and he's very personal, and you can always ask him a question. But if you can leverage your email list, that will help your brand, push you to the next level, because it's very cheap compared to running paid ads.
Awesome. Great. So it's been great. Thank you again for being here on the show. I really enjoyed the conversation. So please tell the audience where they can go to learn more about you, Crossnet, and Good Sport.
Yeah, I can drop all the links, but you can just follow me at WOEISMEADE, Roisentul on all my social platforms, crossnetgame.com, playgoodsport.com if you want to play some games and get off your phone.
Awesome. As always, everything Greg mentioned will be in the show notes. So if you go to fitgrowthmachine.com, click on the episode, you will find all the resources mentioned, including his social handles. Greg, thank you again for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man. Talk soon.